A huge thank you to Robert Bishop for sponsoring today's video on Patreon. Nissa Worldsoul Speaker versus Vorinclex, Narset, and Uriel. We've got a 4-mana commander and a bunch of 4-mana spells there, so I think we have to mulligan. Yeah, nothing really to do in the early game there, annoyingly, but we've got fetches at least. So, yeah, I think it might be worth going down a card there. Let's mulligan again. Alright, well apparently we're not going to do too much of anything this game. We've got 4 lands, we'll have to put one away, even with the exploration, unfortunately. But it's a turn 2 Mossborn Hydra at least, even though we won't have too many lands left at that point. Throw back Boseiju and start the game. Font of Fertility for Vorinclex. And we draw in 2 more means of multiple land drops, so if we can get into Crucible of Worlds, a means of playing our lands from our graveyards with the fetch, that would be good. Get down Exploration. Actually, we do need another land next turn. Realising we need another land, don't we? Or someone to play a Yavimaya or Urborg, because we won't be able to play our 3 drops next turn. A turn 1 Sol Ring for Narset. Talisman of Conviction from that straight away, so just needs his blue mana to get the commander down next turn. Vorinclex manages to make a land and crack the Font of Fertility to Rampant Growth. So we are eager for a land here, or at least a means of 2 mana ramp. Nope, unfortunately not, so I'm going to hold on to the Guy's Cradle. We've got multiple land drops to make anyway, and I want to hold on to some potential landfall. Uriel manages to make some turn 2 ramp. Narset decides to scoop. Return to Nature. Would have blown up the Sol Ring, but instead goes after our Exploration. And there we get into a land is good, so let's go for the Mossborn Hydra and can hopefully start making some use of landfall. Grand Abolisher means we can't do anything during Uriel's turn, also has Delighted Halfling to keep it from being countered. Vorinclex just holding up 5 mana. And there we see Rampaging Baloth, so I think we just have to get down the Azusa here. Or we could go for our commander, I suppose. Yeah, let's go for Guy's Cradle. We have to make landfall regardless. Doubles the plus counters on the Hydra for the first time. Only making it a 2-2, but obviously that gets worse and worse for our opponents. So I'm hoping if we get into a means of playing lands from the graveyard, we'll be able to catch up on mana and actually start to look threatening. So I'll swing in towards Vorinclex, because I don't imagine they'll be struggling to get that commander into play. 2 commanders in a row. Uriel hits play. Be interesting to see if our opponent feels as though he should have kept hold of the Return to Nature for Uriel, assuming that there's going to be some scary auras going onto this. Seems as though, okay, Vorinclex is just struggling on lands and doesn't have anything to do either. We see Pima Trailblazer. I mean, we can play that just for the sake of maybe hitting Vorinclex with it if he decides to actually stick it out. So play that creature, and then I don't think we'll see a board wipe from the green player or from Uriel, so I think it's safe to play out Azusa with the 3 mana from Gaia's Cradle as well. Don't have any energy yet whatsoever though, so let's just turn everything in sideways and risk Vorinclex scooping on us. And yep, there you go. I had a feeling that he would do that. Got some petty players here today. A Rogue's Passage for Uriel now. And there is Sram, Senior Edificer, 3 cards in hand. We'll see if he has any auras. Yeah, it's a shame. We probably won't be able to get through with Pima now. And it makes a difference when players scoop like that, because this is the difference between us drawing more cards and not, potentially. 5/5 Uriel. Can be blocked. I don't think I'm going to bother here, though. Might regret that, because, yeah, it might be that we can't block it when we need to on the next turn. Although I assume if they had auras in hand, then they would have played them by now. So we might be able to get rid of some creatures on our opponent's side of the field. There is a means of energy. That's at the beginning of the upkeep. Let's just go through to attacks and see what happens. Okay, they do just decide to take it, so we get damage through regardless. That's good. So we get the 3 damage. That is 3 energy. And then next turn we can go for this, and we get energy equal to this creature's power, which will be a 4/4. So we won't quite have enough energy to get something in for free. It will force our opponent to block with this though. Another thing we could do is make use of Gaia's Cradle with Avenger of Zendikar to guarantee Ulamog next turn, which might be the thing to do. I think I will do that. Let's go for that here. Only getting 4 tokens, but We can chump block with them here and there at least, probably not against Uriel, but mainly they are creatures into the guy's cradle, of course. I think our opponent played and cracked a Horizon Canopy there, so has 3 cards in hand. That's a good one to get into, although this is the one... Yeah, you don't draw too many cards with that here, unfortunately. Draws to the SRAM, though, so we'll draw another card to the Sage's Reverie when it enters. The commander is now an 8/8, so yeah, we do definitely need to be going Ulamog and getting rid of that Rogue's Passage. At least we can chump block here. Does decide to swing in with Uriel. No trample, no flying, anything like that, so just chump. You need to resist all the commander damage from Uriel that you possibly can, because before you know it, it's a massive creature with double strike that one-shots you. Alright, that's strange. We draw into the Boseiju anyway. So we've got 10 mana and then 2 after the Boseiju. It's just the plus counters from the Hydra we're concerned with, really, for landfall. Yeah, I'm gonna swing in first, and we'll try and get the full energy from this. I think we can go in with the 5/5 as well. If we have a creature go down here, then it'll change the things we can do with Gaia's Cradle, but we should be able to get down Ulamog regardless now. Alright, this time blocking with Destiny Spinner because he doesn't want us to draw more cards, so he managed to get rid of a creature and deal 5 damage. So that's good. Does mean we don't have the 8 energy though. So yeah, we can just play the land straight away. Trigger our Nissa for the first time. The Mossborn Hydra will get twice as many counters, and we'll get some counters on those plant tokens as well. So we're only up to 5 energy here, but let's go Ulamog and keep that scary commander away from us. So that can be the Rogue's Passage, definitely, and their means of card draw in SRAM is going down. Just looking like a generic green ramp deck here, unfortunately. But we couldn't really get into a decent opening hand, and now we haven't been able to draw into lands in the landfall deck. Oh, deflecting swap, alright. Well, that makes things more interesting. Can they move both the targets here? Probably goes after Cradle. No, can they not? You may choose new targets for a spell or ability. Couldn't they just have redirected Ulamog to our stuff? Yeah, it's just 2 target permanents. It's... oh well, they moved it to their own stuff, that's fine. I mean, this is a train wreck of a game anyway, so I can't really take it too seriously. Open the armory, searches up an aura, so they can now go for some means of unblockable. There's a few 2-mana auras that only allow reachers to block them, and it gives hexproof as well, although this already has hexproof, doesn't it? There's just trample they could go for, or yeah, Spirit Mantle will do it. That's protection from creatures, so 2 more hits from the Uriel, including this turn, and we are done for. Spirit Mantle will trigger the SRAM for a card draw as well. So that is a 12/12. Anyway, we'll go up to 17 points of commander damage. Alright, well, there's a Kozilek at least, so we've got a chance to draw in some stuff here. Do we swing in first and try and get some kind of card draw from this, maybe? The only difference it'll make is if we lose a creature, but hopefully that won't matter. I'm not even going to bother to work it out, to be honest. Let's swing in with Ulamog and the Pima as well. They'll exile the top 20 cards of their library, but they're winning next turn anyway if we don't get into anything. Alright, SRAM jumping in the way of the Ulamog is good. I imagine they're just putting all their eggs in one basket here. They do allow this through. It does have trample, which makes a difference because they'd have to double block and lose Grand Abolisher. Maybe they want to hold up the mana for this with, I don't know, Heroic Intervention in hand or something. Regardless, we get some more energy. So I think the energy is best served exhausting this, so we can draw 5 cards, as opposed to cheating in the Kozilek. So let's activate this thing, and that draws us a heap of cards. Oh, is it equal to the greatest power? Yeah, the greatest power, not the power of this thing, so obviously have a 10/10. Last March of the Ents, you put the creature cards onto the battlefield, you don't cast them, so that's relevant with this thing. With this we get energy equal to the greatest power, so we could use this to cheat in this. This cares about basics, so the guy's Cradle won't matter as much. We do have the Crucible to get a bunch of basics out as well. Noteworthy, this is even bigger in order to get us more energy, if that's relevant. We can double up the energy with this as well. Why don't we just hard cast this for now? So play the Virtue of Strength. Then tap down the Boseiju. We'll get Crucible of Worlds in. Do we care about landfall at all? I don't think so. We're just trying to draw as many cards as possible, really. So play the Crucible. We could get more creatures into play with Rampaging Baloths off the landfall. So let's go for that. Then play Verdant Catacombs 3 times here. So Mossborn Hydra gets plus counters. I might have to be careful not to deck ourselves actually if we care about power and drawing cards. Yeah, Rampaging Baloths gets us a creature, we get plus counters. Nissa gets us 2 energy per landfall as well. So that puts us on 4 energy. Haven't even cracked the thing yet. There's a beast token I've never seen before. Anyway, crack Verdant Catacombs, gets a basic into play, we'll get all the exact same landfall triggers. This is a 16/16, so we've got 73 cards left in the deck. If we want to make sure that we draw into some convenient removal, then we're going to have to be careful when we pull the trigger on this thing. Maybe we'll have to make less landfall with a Verdant Catacombs and just play the basics from hand instead. Got 1 more land to make. Yeah, that's a 32/32, so it'll be a 64/64 when we do this. I wanted to get more creatures into play for the Pima in order to get a bunch of energy. Maybe we just have to get Pima down off the last March of the Ents after all. Yeah, this is a 64/64. Let's just see what happens here. Have to go for this now so we don't deck ourselves. I can't crack that Verdant Catacombs and then go for last March of the Ents. Alright, so let's see here. We've already made our land drops, unfortunately, but we should have drawn into a Shire. Got additional land to make off that, I think. No, that doesn't give us an additional land. That does, though. There we go, a Shire. Will that trigger landfall when everything comes in? Have to be careful not to draw too many cards. So we'll go Ramunap. Aetherwind Basker is going to get us a lot of energy. Landfall with this will get us energy as well. That will get us proliferation on our energy. Hoping we don't crash the client here. Eternal Witness could grab back the exploration for another landfall. We've got 9 cards left in the deck, so I'm not rushing to play the Regal Force. We'll leave that in hand. Lotus Cobra and the Nissa gets us some additional mana which we might need. Don't know where the Nissa is. Dryad. Ancient Green Warden. We might crash the client with all the triggers we're about to put on the stack, annoyingly. More creatures with green sleeves, double the energy counters with the Vorinclex. There's the Nissa. Plus counters with Bristly Bill, I don't think necessarily matters, so I'll put fewer triggers on the stack. We want the energy from this. We'll have enough energy to cheat in the Kozilek if we want to draw cards. I'm assuming we've got into some means of removal for our opponent's stuff. There's a... where is it? There's the Song of the Dryads. There'll be a beast within around here, surely. So, might as well get that into play as well for more energy. And Tuco is just more landfall triggers as well. So, we'll leave it at that and hope that we can actually do something here. Client's already struggling to get the triggers on the stack here. It's putting a Shire on the stack that did it. Alright, so there we go. Aetherwind Basker I'll put on the stack first because we're about to get a bunch of tokens, so that'll maximise the amount of energy we get. And then a bunch of Avenger triggers for the plus counters I can't see mattering, although it's something to go wide with next turn at least. The client is bugging out like crazy here because there's way too many triggers on the stack. Ultimately what we want to do here is get down... oh, actually I forgot about the Ether Heart, so we can just cheat that into play with Nissa. We get 1,000,000 energy during all this. Crack that, get an extra turn, and swing in for lethal next turn. So If this is the game you see, then apologies, but I couldn't get a better one. I will try with Nissa again, so hopefully you'll have seen that better game already. This can just be a fun exhibition match. Let me know which commanders you'd like to see from Ether, Drive, Wacky Races, whatever it's called, and I will see you all in the next one. Massive thank you to the patrons for their financial support as well. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.